Right, great, everybody. So we will go ahead and get started. Just like last time, just wanted to give a couple quick details on the webinar. Please make sure that you're muted. I think everyone's on mute right now, but just make sure you have the red microphone on. If you do want to ask a question, feel free to unmute yourself. You can just click that and it'll unmute you. You can toggle yourself between mute and unmute. And you're more than welcome to use your video camera if you have one, but don't feel as though you need to. It's totally up to you. And then just like last week, I will send out all the materials that we cover today. You'll get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and any materials that we discuss that are related to recertification. And then finally, if you are not watching this live, please make sure you email me so that I have record that you watched it, because that actually is part of your recertification requirements. All right, so just a quick look at our agenda. I wanted to do a really quick recap of webinar number 1, just to hit on the main points. So I will do that first. Then we're going to do a spotlight from Austin P. So Olivia Heron, who is the sustainability coordinator for Austin P, will give us a breakdown on some projects that they have going on there. And then if anybody's attended the recertification in person, I really like to have a chance to talk about all the positive things that have happened in sustainability over the last 2 years. So since you originally went through recertification, or since you originally certified, if you certified in 2019. So I'll kind of go through some of the things that have happened in the community. And I'll also have a chance for you to share. So be thinking kind of about if anything's happened in the last 2 years that you would like to share with the group. When we did this in person, I used to go around and kind of make everybody share something. So I won't do that on the webinar, but if you do have something to share, I will open it up and you can chime in and let everybody know what's happened in your organization. And then finally, I'm going to go through setting goals. That's probably the #1 question I get during certification or recertification is, what kind of goals should I set for the next 2 years? Or how detailed do you want my goal? What do you want the goal to look like? So I'll go through that and kind of give you some examples and work through what a SMART goal is. And then I'll also talk to you about some tools that are available to help you set goals as well. So quickly, just to recap what we talked about last week, the recertification requirements, we went through each one of these individually. I just wanted to touch on one again, the ongoing education part. So if you're looking for ways to get information out to your employees, whether it's through email or you go to meetings, if you need content to give to your employees, whether it be handouts or if you wanted to do even something like this, if you wanted me to prepare either a live or a pre-recorded or even come into your office and give a presentation, I am more than happy to. So that's part of the program. You always have that available. So please let me know. I'm happy to do that, and that meets the ongoing education requirement. Another idea is to actually use these webinars that I already have and I'll send out the recording for. You can actually give those to your employees and have them watch it. That would also meet the ongoing education requirements. So those are 2 options there. If you haven't already been doing things, or you don't already have the materials, or maybe you talked about it in past meetings, but you don't have the sign-in sheet, you don't have the agenda that shows it, that's how you can fulfill that requirement. And then also on the points spreadsheet, if you have any questions as you're going through that, if you're filling it out, let me know if you see something that you're doing that isn't on that spreadsheet. We are always expanding that. So each year, about January, February timeframe, I go back through that spreadsheet and add new items in. So if there is something that you're doing that is not on that spreadsheet, please let me know and I will get it added. That way, not only you get the points, but if other organizations are doing it too, they may get the points as well. So please, if you see something that isn't on there, let me know and I will get that added for you as well. And then finally, just the reminder, all of the materials are going to be due August 1st. Again, that's just so I can have everything compiled and ready for the annual banquet. All right, so see if there we go. Slides are being slow this morning. Sorry, everyone. All right, so I'm going to turn the time over to Olivia Heron with Austin P, who's the Sustainability Coordinator, and she's going to give us an update. So, Olivia, I will turn the time over to you, and let me quickly stop sharing my screen and make you a presenter.
Can you hear me, Carly?
I can hear you. All right. So I just sent that to you. Is it allowing you to become the presenter now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Share my screen. Okay, are you seeing my slideshow? I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. So just to give you a recap of some of the sustainability initiatives that have been going on at Austin P. For those who don't know, like Carly said, I'm Olivia Heron, and I'm the sustainability coordinator here on campus. I started in July of last year, so we are approaching 1 year on campus. And despite COVID and everything that's been going on, we've definitely had a lot of successes in our sustainability efforts recently. To give you just a really quick background, Austin P has a Sustainable Campus Fee Committee, which I will explain here in the next slide, that was founded in 2008, but it was another 8 years until we had our first official position as the Sustainability Coordinator. Originally, that was a part-time position that was briefly occupied and then refilled with a second part-time person, and I'm the first full-time staff person in this role. So the Sustainable Campus Fee is a program that has funded over 50 projects since it began. We take a $10 fee from every student each semester, and that really is what's been driving our sustainability initiatives. And then we have a committee that allocates those funds, because any faculty, staff member, or student can request sustainability funds for projects on campus. So renewable energy has been a big focus of our sustainable fee initiatives. Most of the projects are actually 10 years old at the oldest. And then most recent addition has been 2 years ago. And the cost of solar has really just changed drastically over those 10 years. So the first and oldest systems on campus are those two side-by-side panels in the lower left-hand corner. And for frame of reference, I tried to put the kilowatt hours of production just so you can kind of have a frame of reference for how big they are. So those two panels and the wind turbine in the top right corner were all installed over 2 years in 2008 and 2009. They were some of our first endeavors into sustainability. And just to show how quickly the cost has reduced, that 2.1 kilowatt array on the right was purchased in 2008. The one to the left of it, we purchased in 2009, and we paid the exact same amount of money for those two. So even 10 years ago, the price was dropping drastically every single year. Some of you who've been in Clarksville for a while may be familiar with Hemlock Semiconductors that tried to come to town to get involved with the growing demand for solar and become a domestic producer. They built that building here on Austin Peay's campus with the intentions of training technicians to go straight into the solar field, and electrical engineers and students in that realm, but ultimately pulled out due to corporate espionage, which is really interesting, before they even had the opportunity to get started. But we did, inherit those solar panels. And some interesting things that I just wanted to share with you all if you're thinking about getting into renewable energy. In our comparisons between wind and solar, here in Clarksville, solar really outshines wind to a degree that, I don't think we'll probably go into wind again. But it has been interesting in the winter months when we see really decreased solar we see the most wind. And in those really hot summer months when we have huge solar production, the wind completely dies down. It just gets so stifling here in town that there's no wind to move our turbines. So it's been an interesting experiment for us to really prove that they do complement each other well, because when we don't have enough sun for energy, that's when the wind turbine is the most successful. I've also been working with Lightwave Solar out of Nashville to get all of our solar panels repaired and maintenance. And as you're making sustainability goals, if you have infrastructure projects that you're planning to invest in, make sure you plan for the upkeep and maintenance of those systems. Have someone in your office who's going to be responsible for making sure that all of those things are maintained. We had the least information on that Hemlock building. I'm sorry, the annotation request. Oh, okay. You should be able to annotate. Sorry about that. But that system we had the least amount of information on, since we didn't install it, and it just was lower on priority before there was someone in my position full time to be taking care of it. So we found a lot of deficiencies in that system during this inspection that we actually had 2 weeks ago, and just over the lifetime of the system. You know, thinking about warranty and how long certain parts are expected to last, we don't really have any problems with the outdoor components that we all think of in terms of solar, but the internal inverter system that converts it to usable electricity only has like a 10-year lifespan. So we're looking at like an $8,000 replacement to get that back to producing usable electricity. So while there is, you know, a break-even point for solar, there are certainly upkeep costs throughout the life of these systems. I cannot advance the slides in this annotate view.
Olivia, can you try stopping presenting, and I'll try sending it back to you?
Okay.
Olivia, while we're waiting on that, I just thought I'd
Yeah.
ask on the ones in the parking lot,
Yeah.
have you had any issues with them getting damaged from cars? Like,
We have not had any problems, and that system was installed, I believe, in 2011.
okay,
So almost 10 years, and we've had no problem.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Try this again. And that system actually, in our most recent checkup, is the one of the only systems that we had absolutely no issues, which was really exciting. To be that age, and you know, it was in perfect working order.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah, you just never know with systems like that. And it's all self-contained. The inverter is right under that canopy, which is really nice too. Okay, perfect. I can now advance the slides. So also looking at energy efficiency, Austin P was really fortunate here a few years ago to get a grant from the state to help us convert our Dunn Center to LED lighting. While in a really large facility like this, it's a huge financial undertaking. We are seeing about $50,000 a year in electricity savings just in that one building from switching out the lights. So while it is, you know, a huge upfront cost in a large facility to convert to LEDs, the cost savings are definitely there, and you see a return on your investment very quickly, which is awesome. And in that same vein, I've got a photo on the left of the Sunquist Science Complex, we funded through our Sustainable Campus Fee a project to convert all of the common spaces of that building to LED lighting. So all of the study areas, the hallways, the stairwells, those types of spaces. And just accepted a bid that's going to cost around $80,000 to do the full conversion. But we expect just a couple of years for return on investment. So like I said, a large upfront cost, but eventually very much worth it through the reduction in energy consumption. That building is going to be an awesome showcase for efficiency. We also received some state funding to upgrade the fume hoods in the laboratories of that building, which are extremely energy intensive. So I'm very excited to see the progress that we're going to make and the decreased energy needs there. But these types of energy projects can be really, really simple. There's a picture of a postcard that we sent out to all faculty and staff, sent in emails, just tried to contact them any way we could with information on helping us to power down for the winter break. We don't have folks on campus in terms of staff for about 10 days, and faculty end up not being here for almost a month. And in past years, we'd saved about $1,000 per day on energy during the break, just from the reduction in campus capacity. We had never done a targeted program to try to encourage people on an individual level to save us energy, but we ended up doubling those savings. So we saved about $2,000 per day of the winter break by powering down, and this cost us, next to nothing. It was designing these online, a tiny bit of printing cost, harassing people via email a little bit, but we definitely, saw our efforts returned, and we're really excited to see what that participation could do over the break. I do have a couple photos missing. I don't know why when I opened these slides this morning, but I will cover things that you can't see. The ribbon cutting in the top right is of the grand opening of Austin Peay's connection to the Clarksville Greenway. I'm sure you're all familiar with those awesome trails that we have around our community, but we worked with the Clarksville Community Health Foundation and then matched those funds out of the sustainability budget and connected our campus to those awesome greenways so that students can get outside, just encouraging people to spend outside anytime you have an opportunity, having green spaces, even if that's just, picnic tables outside where people can eat lunch. It really increases morale and is great for folks' mental health. So anything you can do to support healthy green spaces is fantastic. You may also be familiar with the B-Cycle bike stations around town. We have one on campus, and we pay to make the bikes accessible for up to 1 hour for free to all faculty, staff, and students, which has made them very popular with students compared to if they were paying for them, I'm sure. So anything that you can do to make something more accessible. Similarly, we also pay for bus passes for anyone that needs to get to campus using the bus system. So just trying to make alternate transportation a viable option for folks that otherwise might have a hard time getting to where you need them to be. And then we've also changed a lot of our landscaping practices. So we're transitioning to native plants, which we see require less pesticides, less herbicides, less water. And we're also seeing really awesome results of that in that these plants keep duplicating. And so we're able to pull them out, repot them, and sell them. We made about $4,500 here a few weeks ago on a plant sale with an initial $400 investment for some dirt to fill pots. So being creative in how you can support your sustainability initiatives and make them as cost saving or even revenue generating as possible has been really successful for us. Another program that we've really gotten students involved in, and we've been surprised by the level of interest, is gardening. We have an on-campus food pantry that meets the needs of a lot of our students, but fresh food is the hardest thing to get for a food pantry. And so my coworker in the Center for Service Learning has started this awesome garden opportunity to partner with the campus food pantry. I'm very proud. Yesterday, I got to go help out. The strawberries in the bottom right corner were all just strawberries that we picked yesterday. So the kids in the food pantry get really, really excited around strawberry time. They're just too expensive for us to buy and be giving out to students. And similarly, they just keep duplicating. So I also helped yesterday, and we installed like another 10-foot by 3-foot bed where we're pulling out the strawberries that are getting, too big for their beds. And by next year, we're going to have a third more strawberry crop. So things like that after an initial small investment just seem to keep growing. And similarly, we've got a picture of our hives. We started with one hive. There's actually now 3 because they just keep hatching queens. And then they split, and we've been able to catch the swarms and rehome them into new boxes. So our 1 beehive in 2 years has turned into 3 beehives. And they're really helping with the production of things like strawberries. They're a really cool learning opportunity for our students, obviously. And we're getting to the point now where we're going to have a decent amount of honey that we're going to be able to harvest, which is also just a really cool low cost opportunity. So leveraging our resources, providing students with things they need, like healthy food, and then also giving volunteers and student workers this super unique opportunity to be very involved with food production has been awesome for us. And gardening is just fun. And then last but definitely not least have been some of our engagement opportunities that we've had in this last year. It's definitely looked different than it would have before COVID. But like all of you, we were really excited to recertify, even though that award process looked so different than I'm sure Carly ever anticipated when she started in this role. And Austin P achieved platinum rating, which we're really, really proud of this year. For anyone who is not familiar, we are also part of ASHE, which is the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. Believe it or not, there are people like me at almost every university who are trying to do this type of tracking. And we do that through their STARS program, which is the Sustainability Tracking Assessment and Rating System. Austin P has never been rated before. We use it behind the scenes as kind of an inventory for us to set our sustainability goals and track progress. But you can also get a score, and it's done the same way Carly does in a bronze, silver, gold, platinum system. And I'm really excited to be working on that report so that we can get rated for the first time this year and kind of can see where we're at in comparison to our peers. We've had a lot of outdoor programming because that's just a little bit easier on campus in the pandemic times. That's included Plant the Campus Red, which some of you may have participated in or heard about before. But we have a whole day dedicated to volunteers coming to campus and helping us plant flowers in preparation for graduation. We had a great turnout. We had almost 100 folks come and help us this year, which is huge considering everything that was going on. We just didn't know what to expect. And it was very successful. We've also been trying to find interesting ways to recycle things that were left over from canceled programs with COVID. So the picture on the left is us turning t-shirts from the canceled 2020 Plant the Campus Red into reusable grocery bags. That's become really popular. When any student event has leftover t-shirts that they've ordered, they really like to have me come in and teach them how to make reusable grocery bags. It's like no cost, you just need scissors. And it's a cool way to turn those t-shirts into something else useful. And then we've gotten more into passive education. So in the library, they have 3 display cases like the one you see in the center there. And right now we've got them set up with a reduce, reuse, recycle theme. So we just are trying to find new ways to reach students where they're at, give them some education on our efforts. But, there's no one who has to be there. As they come and go from the library, they can check it out as they're interested. And that's been really successful. We've seen students, reaching out and being really interested in the things we had set up. And it's very easy. I mean, we took things out of my office and set up some letter boards and things and have seen really positive engagement. So that is all that I have got for you all this morning, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
Olivia, I have a quick question.
Yes.
On your reuse, recycle areas where you have your bins, what is
Yes.
your process to pick those bins up to get them emptied, or do you have a team that just that's their responsibility to do that daily or weekly?
So our custodial staff handles the recycling minus paper. So I'll go into what custodial handles first. We're lucky to be one of the last people in the county that still has bins from Bi County. So we have bins for plastic, aluminum, and cardboard on campus behind the physical plant. So custodial has a schedule. They pick up from most buildings twice a week, and they just, pick up and dump things into the bins behind my office here on a regular rotating schedule. Now, paper has gotten a little more complicated since they will not pick up. We have paper bins in all of the offices, and then when folks need that picked up, our moving crew on campus, they submit work orders and they come in and pick those up, and then we have a box truck that we take out to Bi County. We've also purchased secure bins, like the 65-gallon, I want to say, rolling, they would be like curbside type bins with locks on them. And we have a little over a dozen of those bins around campus in buildings that need secure shredding permanently. And then, like, for instance, recently, our IT department's moving. So, anytime somebody's moving or doing a big clean out, we can take those to them. And same process, we keep them locked. The moving crew picks them up, takes them to Bi County, and then we pay for them to shred.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions?
Olivia, really quickly, I have the tree map link that you sent to me earlier this week. Would it be okay if I share that with the group?
Yeah, absolutely. For those that don't know, Austin P was just certified by the Tennessee Urban Forestry Council as an arboretum. We have a little over 100 tree species on campus and have a digital map where you can go online and see exactly where on campus what trees are located, which is a cool resource if you're thinking about planting a tree at home and you want to see what that tree is going to look like 50 years from now. You can just get online, look at our map, come to campus at your convenience, and check out all of these different tree species.
Fantastic. So I'll share that with everyone when I send all the materials for this meeting. So thank you, Olivia. I really appreciate you taking the time. This was fantastic to see everything that's been happening at Austin P. So thank you so much. And if anybody else has any questions that they think of, let me know and I can reach out to Olivia and get your questions answered. So.
And feel free to share my email address, Carly.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll put that in the email to everyone so that they have it. All right, everyone, give me 1 second. I'm going to bring my screen back up here. Apologize, everyone. Let me move that back over and see if I can get that up. There we go. All right. Can everybody see that again? I will restart my slideshow here. Okay, so we will go ahead and move on. Thanks for bearing with me on that. I apologize. All right, so we will talk really quickly. I wanted to go over what has happened since 2019. So positive things that have happened sustainability-wise within the community. So I'll run through these kind of quick because I've highlighted most of them in the newsletter, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. But some of the things we have the Clarksville Sustainability Board. So back in March, the City Council actually voted on a resolution to have a board created that will look specifically at sustainability. So that's going to have 3 City Council members, 1 county commissioner, and then 3 residents on that board. And the idea of the board is it's actually going to help set goals for sustainability. So not just for the city, but also for the community as a whole. So we have had a volunteer sustainability board in the past, but this one is actually tied directly to the city council. So it's fantastic for being able to set and track goals for the community. Another thing that happened this year is we have the VW medium and large truck grant. So this went back to the Volkswagen settlement based on air quality and their emissions. So they have, once a year, they put out grants. This one was specific to medium and large trucks. The idea was to take trucks that were of a certain age off the roadway and replace them either with electric or clean diesel. So new vehicles to reduce the emissions that are on our roadway. By county actually had 3 trucks. 2 were 2001 models and 1 was a 2002 model that they submitted as part of the grant, and they received funding for all 3. So they will be receiving 3 new vehicles. And as part of the grant, the 3 vehicles that are being replaced have to be scrapped. So as soon as those new vehicles come in, the old vehicles that produce significantly more emissions will immediately be scrapped. So that's fantastic. And that was a large amount of money that they received for that. Another thing that we've seen recently was the CDE and Silicon Ranch solar farms. So that is a 15 megawatt solar farm that's going to go at the athletic complex at exit 8. So they are still working on the purchase of the land agreement. But once that's complete, we actually plan on doing a webinar similar to our home solar webinar that we did a couple months ago. So I will send that link out to everyone, but we'll have an educational webinar that you can get on and hear all about what that solar farm is going to look like, what it means for CDE, and what it also means for their customers as well. So look for that. We're thinking probably early fall timeframe we'll be able to put out that information. And then the next one is the Veterans Plaza roof renovation. So this actually took place late 2019 into 2020. So the plaza, at Veterans Plaza, that's where the library is. For anybody that is unfamiliar with the name of it, it's where the Clarksville Montgomery County Library is. It has a flat roof, and about 2019, they realized that it was actually starting to leak, and they were looking at the cost of a full replacement. Obviously, that was significantly costly. So they actually looked at alternatives, and what they decided to do was to renovate the roof using a fluid system that's actually rolled on, and it protects the roof. It becomes completely watertight. So the best part is they didn't have to take anything off of the roof. They were able to leave the original roof in place and roll this on top. So there was nothing that had to be demoed and sent to the landfill. Another benefit is it happens to be a white roof now. So as you can see, it went from a dark roof to a white roof. That actually saves in energy costs because it reflects more of the heat coming into the building. So that was a fantastic system that they put in. I apologize, I did not write down on the slides what the name of the system is. So if you're interested in that, please email me. I'm happy to get you in touch with Doug Jones, who is the architect for Montgomery County, and he, I'm sure, would be more than happy to give you all the details on the roof. So if you have a flat roof and that's something you're considering, please let me know. We have also created a Clarksville bicycle and pedestrian plan. So this was a group made up of city, county, volunteers, residents and businesses, all sat on a committee that came up with a prioritization for bicycle and pedestrian routes. That actually is being used on routes that are owned by the state. And the reason for that is when a state comes in to, say, Tiny Town or Wilma Rudolph or Madison, any roads that are actually owned by the state rather than the city and county, we didn't have a plan in place to say where we wanted sidewalks and where we wanted bicycle lanes. And if you don't have a plan in place, the state doesn't necessarily fund those. So the group went through, put that as a priority. That's now in place. So really important for being able to have connectivity with cyclists and pedestrians within the community. Anytime we can make it safer for them to travel, it reduces drive times and emissions that are coming out of vehicles. The next one, Exit Beautification Committee. This is a group, and this group actually, we haven't been meeting due to the pandemic, but it is still taking place. The group is looking at exits 1, 8, 11, and 19. So all of the exits along I-24 within Montgomery County. And the idea is not only to make them more attractive, because we have a lot of overgrown weeds and trees in those areas, but also to make them consistent. So we want to show consistent exits through the community, makes it more inviting. It's a great opportunity for us to put in native plants. So if anybody has been up by exit 1, actually restoring that to native grassland. They're in the process, I believe they're in the process of killing off what was already there and revegetating. So I know last year they had just gotten started, and it's about a 2.5 year process. So exit 1 will look a little bit rough for a little while, but they have a plan to have that all put together with the native grasslands, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to carry that through the other exits as well. We just haven't put the final plans in place yet. AARP Livable Communities. So a couple, probably early 2019, we actually became a livable community with AARP. And we were the first community ever that included a military base as part of our community in the planning process. So that was really fantastic. And we all know Fort Campbell is such an implemental part of our community. So it's great to have them. And what it means to be a livable community essentially is that everything that you do within the community is given a score and falls into a certain category. And so you have to track your livable categories, and one of them is sustainability. So that's something, and we have to continue to report this. So we actually have a report that'll be due, I believe it's actually the end of this year, so that we can keep our livable community rating. And then late last year, the Wade Bourne Nature Center opened at Rotary Park. That's a fantastic center. If you haven't had a chance to go out and see it, I really recommend going and taking a walk and stopping inside to see the Nature Center. It's beautiful. Just if you're going into Rotary Park, you just follow the road all the way to the end and you can't miss it. So definitely check that out. And then we also had this year our Shred Day. So this was actually the first Shred Day that had been held in Montgomery County in over a year. And we had fantastic turnout. If anybody showed up, we had cars all the way around Veterans Plaza for about the first hour. So we shred just under 7,000 pounds of paper and collected 525 pounds of electronics. The electronics are actually collected as part of Austin Peay's Race to Zero campaign for the campus. So that was fantastic. And we had such great turnout. We definitely want to have this again. So we're looking at either sponsoring one or hosting, having the Green Certification Program actually host it quarterly. So look for that coming up again. If we don't have a community partner that's having one, then the program will definitely host those so that we can continue to offer that for the community. All right. So those are a couple things that have happened in the community in the last 2 years. I wanted to open it up to everyone and see, is there anything anyone would like to share about things that have happened at your organization that you're really proud of? Or it can be small things, large things. It doesn't even have to be sustainability focused. If there's just something you'd like to tell the group about what's been going on in your organizations over the last 2 years.
One thing that Altra did is we used to offer complimentary, those small plastic water bottles, and we've changed that into a water service. So we are able to reduce the amount of plastic bottles that are going into the trash. And we changed out some lighting to LED lighting.
That's fantastic. That's great. Did you, Rose, on the water bottles? Did you notice any pushback before you did it? Did you have any kind of convincing that you had to do before, or was it just instantly bought in by everyone?
Well, we kind of transitioned it over during COVID when the lobby was originally closed. And when we reopened and people that were used to getting those went to look for them, we just at that time explained that we were recertifying through the Green Certification Program. And this was one of our initiatives. So we kind of tried to get them engaged to take that message home with them.
That's fantastic. That's great. And even to be able to get the message out to them as a learning opportunity. So fantastic. Thanks, Rose. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Any small changes you've made?
Hey, Carly, it's Martha
Hi, Martha.
from Train. We actually have been able to finish our LED lighting project in all of our offices, which is a huge win for us. And then the other thing we did last year was we worked with our train services group. And just a plug in if anybody's interested, they do this for anybody, but we did an indoor air quality study. So we were one of the pilot plants for the whole company, one of the first ones that got our air quality study done. And not only did they make sure to balance there's a whole slew of things that we could do, but make sure to balance the units that are on the building, coming into, the in and out, basically the breathing of the building. So it's balanced well and it's actually the most efficient. We set up a cleaning and repair system. We were already cleaning and doing repairs. We just did a major overhaul on some of our units, and did a deep clean basically on all of our HVAC units, and then put the whole system on one control system. So it's actually thinking in this million plus square feet, thinking together from a balancing standpoint, which is pretty exciting. And then replaced 4 very old HVAC units that were on top of the office roof. So it's been a busy HVAC adventure. And I don't know if anybody happened to drive by and see, we also replaced our old cooling towers. So more efficient pumps, more efficient use of the water that's there. So we're hoping to see, this is the first month that they've been on. So at the end of the month, I'm hoping to see a difference in our water consumption, and excited to see where that goes. Also, the water will be cooled more efficiently going into the rest of the system. So it's been a busy, exciting year from that standpoint. Getting the whole building balanced, some of the stuff upgraded, and then our LED lighting in our offices. So
fantastic, Martha. That's awesome things to get done. I'm super excited to hear some of the numbers of what you're saving on energy and your HVAC and even the water. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations on doing all that.
Thanks. Thanks. We were excited to be able to get it all done. So, Train has big plans
Absolutely.
from it when it comes to environmental. So, from a corporate level. So, being able to put in that money and that effort into the systems is exciting. So,
Fantastic. I'm gonna hit you up for a future spotlight so you
uh-oh.
can share all of those with everybody. That would be, yeah, you got some great things going on there. Awesome. Thanks, Martha.
You're welcome.
Uh, Anybody else have anything that you want to share? Okay. If you ever have anything, if you put together a really cool project, or it doesn't even have to be anything big, if you implement something new in your organization and you're excited about it, please let me know. I love to hear things that everybody's doing, and also if you're willing, I'd be happy to spotlight in our newsletter as well, because it's always nice to share good stories, but it also gives ideas to other organizations too of things that they can do. So yeah, anytime you do something, let me know. I'm always excited and always happy to hear what everybody's doing out there. Great. So my slides are being difficult again, everybody. There we go. All right, so I just wanted to take a couple minutes. We got about 10 minutes left, so I'll get through this quickly, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about goal setting. Again, because this is something, I get questions on, and so I just want to make it as easy for all of you as possible. But at the same time, I want to make sure that your goals are something that are useful for your organization. So I don't want you to set something that you're just sending to me to meet the requirement. I definitely want it to be something that you are going to use and look at over the next 2 years. So one of the things we teach as we go through the certification process is how to set SMART goals. So I just wanted to take a real quick slide here just to remind everybody of what the SMART goals are. I think we all pretty much come across these anyway within business. But then some actual specific SMART goals that you might see or you might be interested in is setting goals that are very targeted to what you want to do and when you want to have it done by. So in all of these, you can see there is a very prominent time component. They all have a deadline. They all have what they want to reduce or how they want to do it. So just some examples of things that you could potentially use as your goals. Again, these don't necessarily relate to your specific organization, but an idea of how you might set the goal up. And then really quickly, how do you stay on track? So once you have your goal set, how do you make sure that you're actually staying with it? So because we only recertify every 2 years, a lot of times it might be you set the goal and then, we get to recertification and it's like, what was my goal? What did I do? So great way to stay on track is to set reminders, whether it's monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, but definitely set yourself a reminder to check in and see what's going on. Another way is involve others. So you definitely don't want to keep this just to yourself. Involve other employees, management, ownership, even your customers if you can. The more people you get involved, the more energy your goal is going to have, the faster you're going to get there. So definitely share it and talk about it. Whether you're, in staff meetings, maybe give an update every once in a while. Hey, this is how we're doing on our goal. And don't be afraid to make changes. So you might set a goal and think you're going great. You might set the goal of, I'm going to install LEDs. Well, something might change and maybe you don't have the funding to do LEDs. So maybe you need to come back and say, you know what, maybe we're going to do an education campaign to turn off the lights instead. Totally fine. Just go in and update your goals, set a new target date, and just rewrite it. There is nothing wrong with changing your goals because life changes. I'm sure everybody last year with 2020, I know talking to people, their funding for sustainability just kind of went out the window. Other organizations with things being closed, it just stopped. So yeah, be flexible. It's okay if you need to change your goal. Keep management updated. This one is one, it really comes down to the funding side of it. So you need to know this is where your funding source is for your sustainability improvements. So definitely keep them updated, let them know what's going on, and really let them know when you're starting to see savings. That's really important. And that goes right into share the success. So as soon as you start to see even small things, let everybody know, because it's one of those things, once you get going, everybody wants to be part of the success. So share it with others in your organization. And if you need help, so if you're sitting there and you're looking at, I have all these ideas for goals, but I just don't know what to do, or maybe you're even at a point where you just don't know what your goals should be, there's lots of ways that I can help you to set goals. So first, you can just call me, and I'm happy to walk you through it, and we can meet one-on-one and go through goals. So that's kind of the number one. Call me if you have any questions. But also you could go through the level spreadsheet that we have for the different levels. Each one of those items on there could be a different goal. So maybe you want to get an 8 in the energy upgrades. You could set that as a goal. I want to get an 8 on my score sheet. So that is definitely a possibility. And I know a lot of people use the level spreadsheet that way. They actually use that as their goal tracking. Mentoring, if you have something you're interested in and you want to set the goal, but you're not sure what realistic amounts are, let me know. I can get you in touch with an organization that's done that before. Say you want to do the LEDs, but you don't know how much to expect on your energy reduction. We can match you with a similar size business that's done the same thing so that you can have a realistic idea of what that would be. One-on-one meetings, like I said, I'm happy we can sit down in person, WebEx, on the phone, whatever works for you, and go through what you want to do and to talk through a goal. That's totally fine. Happy to do that anytime for anybody. And then the last one is examples. If you just want to see how other people have written their goals, maybe you know exactly what you want to do, but you're not sure how to actually write that. I'm happy to send you examples of what others have sent in so that you can kind of mimic the same kind. So if you just need to see a couple examples, I will be more than happy to send those over to you.
Hey.
All right. So that was just a quick goals discussion. But does anybody have any questions on setting goals or maybe clarification on what a good goal would be? Okay. I'm not hearing anything, so I will go ahead and wrap up the webinar. If you think of any questions, please let me know. I'm always available. And we'll be back here again next week, next Tuesday, the 25th, 8 to 9 a.m. We'll have another presenter, and then we will talk about the annual banquet and annual awards. And then we'll wrap up the webinar series. So thank you everybody for coming. Let me know if you need anything in the next week, and I will send out all the materials to everyone that's on the call right now. Again, if you logged in today, you don't need to do anything else. I have a record of everybody that was here. If you are not watching this live, please remember to send me an email as soon as you get finished watching this so that I mark down that you have attended and you get credit for your recertification. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you next week.